Look at the sky right now. A violent, catastrophic tornado outbreak and an absolutely destructive storm system is slamming the central United States at this very moment. A horrific, life-threatening disaster is unfolding across the heart of America for July 8, 2026. A scary turn of events has forced meteorologists to issue emergency declarations as nature unleashes absolute fury. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is ready for what is going to hit the ground tonight. If you live in the path of this explosive atmospheric engine, your life could change in a matter of seconds. The atmosphere is completely overloaded with extreme humidity, staggering heat indices, and a menacing atmospheric trigger that is ripping open the clouds right above our heads. Look at this radar loop. These massive volatile supercell structures are mutating into absolute monsters as we speak. This is not your typical summer rain shower. This is a highly unstable, dangerous setups capable of dropping intense, rain-wrapped multi-vortex tornadoes directly onto vulnerable neighborhoods. The cold front is plowing southward, colliding head-on with a sweltering tropical air mass, creating a deadly playground for atmospheric destruction. This is an absolute nightmare scenario unfolding in the dark. If you are sleeping through this, you are in extreme danger. This terrifying, dangerous system could track anywhere, and its path of destruction is expanding rapidly. I need everyone watching this right now to wake up and take action. What state, city, or county are you watching this from? Drop your exact location in the comments below right now. Do not wait. By dropping your location, you let me know exactly who is in danger so I can track these deadly velocity signatures and storm cells specifically for your neighborhood in the comments section. Listen to me very carefully. Your area could be the very next in line for a violent, sudden tornado touchdown or destructive straight-line winds exceeding 75 miles per hour. I am about to break down every single state, county, and community currently placed under a red alert for July 8, 2026. I am going to analyze the exact timing, the precise convective tracking, and the massive hail threats that are headed your way. Do not skip a single second of this video, because the data I am about to show you could save your life and the lives of your family tonight. Let's dive straight into the terrifying real-time scientific data coming out of the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center for July 8, 2026. The technical setup today is extremely alarming, and the radar indicators are screaming for attention. Look right here at the upper Midwest and stretching down into the central Great Plains. A volatile, sluggish cold front is digging down directly from the Hudson Bay region, dragging a dense mass of cooler, dense polar air straight into a volatile basin of rich, unadulterated moisture. Look at these dew points. We are tracking dew points soaring into the upper 60s and lower 70s Fahrenheit across South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska. This intense moisture advection is acting like high-octane rocket fuel for these storms. When you calculate the atmospheric energy, the convective available potential energy, or what we call MLPSI, the models are outputting explosive values ranging from 1,500 to well over 2,500 joules per kilogram. When you have that much shear buoyancy combined with strong afternoon heating, the clouds do not just grow. They explode like atomic bombs into the upper troposphere. We are seeing a highly dangerous, tightly wound shortwave trough pivoting across the northern periphery of a massive upper-level ridge. This atmospheric collision is forcing incredible wind shear across the region. Look at the mid-level flow on the screen right now. We have 35 to 50 knot winds ripping through the 500 millibar level. When you have strong winds aloft crossing paths with surging southerly winds at the surface, you create an invisible spinning column of air near the ground. As these explosive updrafts catch that spinning air, they tilt it vertically. That is exactly how you get a rotating updraft. That is exactly how a terrifying classic supercell forms. The Storm Prediction Center has identified a significant threat area where clusters of strong to severe thunderstorms are expected to consolidate rapidly. If you are in southern Minnesota, southeastern South Dakota, or northeastern Nebraska, you are directly in the crosshairs of this frontal assault. The primary convective mode will initially start as isolated, highly organized supercells. These supercells are the most dangerous structures known to meteorology because they can sustain themselves for hours, churning out destructive hazards across hundreds of miles. Now, let us trace this destructive line further west and south because this storm system is multifaceted and spreading panic across multiple regions of the United States. Look closely at southeastern Wyoming and central Colorado, right along the Laramie Range and the Front Range. The higher terrain is going to act as an immediate wedge later this afternoon. If the intense July sun cooks the mountain slopes, it triggers massive upslope flow. Thunderstorm development is going to erupt violently off the mountains by late Wednesday afternoon. If these storms move eastward into the more unstable, moisture-rich environment of the western Great Plains, they are forecast to undergo an alarming, rapid consolidation. Every step by a nocturnally strengthening low-level jet, a raging river of high-speed air that accelerates right after sunset. These storms are going to organize into a massive, terrifying squall line. This is what we call a mesoscale convective system. When this happens, individual storm cells merge into a linear bow echo that sweeps across the landscape like a wall of water. The primary threat here will transition into devastating, widespread straight-line winds. We are talking about hurricane-force downbursts capable of flatlining cornfields, snapping heavy wooden utility poles, throwing large trees onto houses and knocking out power to tens of thousands of people in the dead of night. But the terror does not stop in the Great Plains. Let's shift our trekking eyes further south down into northeast Texas, western Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and southeast Oklahoma, the infamous Arklatex region. A stagnant, lingering mid-level trough is sitting right over the lower Mississippi Valley, acting as a massive pool of cold air aloft. Meanwhile, at the surface, an oppressive, suffocating heat wave is boiling the landscape, driving temperatures into the mid to upper 90s with brutal humidity. This extreme temperature differential creates absolute instability. By mid to late afternoon, right around peak heating at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., the atmospheric lid is going to pop. Storm clusters will initiate rapidly, even though the deep layer wind shear is weaker down south, limiting the storms from rotating into long-track tornadoes. The sheer vertical energy is immense. The updrafts will scream skyward, loading up massive amounts of heavy water and ice. Once the weight of that water becomes too heavy for the updraft to support, the entire column collapses toward the earth simultaneously. This triggers a massive, violent microburst. Every step caught on the highway when one of these downbursts strikes, you will experience sudden zero visibility conditions and winds equivalent to an EF0 or EF1 tornado. Now let's look at the eastern side of the United States, stretching all the way from central Virginia through North Carolina and down into South Carolina. Every step on the trail brings you closer to where the clouds brings you closer. Tropical air mass surging inward from the Atlantic Ocean. The Weather Prediction Center has already tagged this entire zone with a slight risk for excessive rainfall. What makes this setup so scary is the steering flow. The upper-level winds are incredibly weak, meaning these storms are going to move at a snail's pace, sometimes tracking at less than 10 miles per hour, or even completely stalling out over the same exact communities. This triggers a highly dangerous phenomenon known as training, where severe thunderstorm cells continuously develop and pass over the same geographical spot like cars on a freight train. When you dump 2 to 4 inches of rain in less than 2 hours onto soils that are already saturated from earlier weekly storms, the ground cannot absorb it. Small creeks, streams, and urban drainage networks will completely overflow. Flash flooding will materialize instantly out of nowhere, turning roads into raging, mud-filled rivers. If you drive into these flooded roadways in the dark, your vehicle can easily be swept away. Let's talk about the raw destructive power inside these individual cells because the hail threat tomorrow is absolutely terrifying. Inside these severe supercells over South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wyoming, the vertical updraft speeds are projected to exceed 100 miles per hour. These updrafts are so violent that they trap rain droplets, pushing them thousands of feet up into the sub-freezing layers of the atmosphere where they freeze into ice. The ice pellet falls, gets coated in water, and is shoved back up by the updraft to freeze again. This cycle repeats over and over until monstrous, jagged chunks of ice are formed. We are tracking hail potential up to 2 inches or greater in diameter. that is larger than the size of tennis balls falling from the sky at terminal velocity. If this hail hits your car, it will completely shatter your windshield, dent your roof, and cause thousands of dollars in destruction. If it hits an unprotected animal or human, it can cause severe, life-threatening trauma. At the same time, we have to look out for the scary rotation developing on the storm relative velocity radar. Whenever you see the bright green colors right next to the bright red colors on your screen, that represents winds moving in opposite directions in close proximity. That is a tight velocity couplet, indicating that a mesocyclone is active and stretching toward the ground. As the low-level jet ramps up after 7 p.m. tomorrow night, the wind profiles become incredibly favorable for brief, violent tornadoes to spin up along the leading edge of the cold front or within isolated cells tracking ahead of the main line. Because these storms will persist long after the sun goes down, we are dealing with the most lethal category of severe weather, nocturnal tornadoes. You will not be able to see them coming through your window. You will only hear the deafening roar of the wind when it is already too late. My friends, this is a highly volatile, fluid situation that requires your immediate, undivided attention. Do not treat tomorrow like any other summer day. The elements are aligning for a significant atmospheric blowout across multiple regions of the United States. You need to make sure your severe weather plan is locked in right now before you go to sleep tonight. Do you know exactly where your safe place is? If a tornado warning is issued for your county, you must immediately move to the lowest level of a sturdy building. A basement or an interior storm shelter is best. If you do not have a basement, put as many walls between yourself and the outside world as possible. Go to a small interior closet, bathroom, or hallway. Protect your head with helmets, thick blankets, or pillows to shield yourself from flying debris. Most importantly, you must have a reliable way to receive life-saving warnings in the middle of the night. Do not rely on outdoor tornado sirens. They are not designed to wake you up inside your home. Make sure your smartphone alerts are turned completely on, up to maximum volume, and ensure your NOAA weather radio has fresh, working backup batteries. Please stay tuned to this channel. I will be tracking this entire dangerous system line by line, frame by frame, and will bring you the fastest, most critical live updates the moment the atmosphere cracks open. If you want to stay ahead of these destructive storms and protect your family, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on all your notifications and share this urgent video with everyone you know in the affected states. Stay safe, monitor the skies, and take shelter the absolute second those sirens go off.